Hello, and welcome to Billy Bob's Album of the Month. This month I'm featuring Michael Lira's Darth Vegas album, Brainwashing for the Dirty Minds from 2012. Fucking phenomenal album if you get to check it out. It's on Romero Records that Julian Corwin's running out of Australia down there. Really need to check that shit out. I got a hold of Michael and we discussed everything from the band before Vicious Harry Mary all the way up to his musical scores, and it was quite fascinating. I do want to make a quick note. I do 2 interviews a month. One of them is punk and ska, and one of them is not. I've noticed that every time I post a different video, I lose a subscriber because you guys seem confused. I don't just listen to punk rock. I listen to a little bit of everything. And I don't want to be limited to just a couple genres. So I fucking do everything. And if you're not into that, I guess move on to somewhere else. I don't give a fuck. But just to clear up the confusion, 2 interviews a month. And it's not all just punk rock. Right? But we're going to segue into this interview here in a second. Make sure to like and subscribe and leave some comments down below and fucking hit that bell and all that other fucking shit. You know, whatever. But we're going to cut into this interview here in a second. Enjoy. So let's just start it off from the beginning. How did you first get into music?
Woo! That's broad. One of my the moments that I remember was seeing Fantasia in the cinema when I was a kid. That great Disney animated movie, and which has very little dialogue. And I remember going, bothering my parents in the middle of the movie, going, "Who's talking now? What is this voice?" And it was all the instruments doing the music. I was like, I didn't know there were fantastical creatures that talked funny and it produced a sound. It's pretty silly, but I was very confused about it. I was like, whoa, music can do all of that. So that was a profound kind of music is magic moment. And I think that combined with, I love that, the Sorcerer's Apprentice piece. Yeah, that recently revisited that. It's got the Night on Bald Mountain, Mussorgsky epic drama. Very metal, that one, actually.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so is Stravinsky's Rite of Springs on there.
Yeah, and that's in there too.
I am convinced that might be the first piece of actual metal music.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the first time it was played live, it started a riot. That's totally metal.
So the story goes. Yeah, that's extremely metal.
And
jagged,
yeah, and then if you listen to where the music kicks in, it's very off-time, accented, very typical of metal music nowadays.
Yeah. That's,
So music is fun. Tell me about was Vicious Harry Mary your first musical project, or what? Did you have anything going on before that?
Yeah, there's one band before that called the Anorexic Elephants, which was a punk band. We did very Dead Kennedys influenced, actually. It was a lot of fun. We did it was when I was 14. We'd rehearse every weekend. It was so much fun, making a lot of noise. And we had a great singer in that band, who I've lost touch with, unfortunately, Jason Shave. And we did some fun gigs. There's something in Sydney at that time, I don't know if it's been resurrected since, but called the Punks Picnic, which is in St. Peter's Park. There's an old Brickworks outdoor festival, punk bands all day long. Really cool. We got to play there as kids, and it was really fun. Went well. We got invited to do a gig that weekend, and suddenly we were on stage with loud amps and a crowd. Actually, in the sound check, we were first on, of course, just for a little bit, but this in the sound check when something went wrong with one of the amps, and they took a while. Someone drove off to get another amp or fix it. I'm not sure what happened, but we were late, and by now it was packed. It was this really fun venue called the Punters Club. They're full of punks, like yelling at, and I was waiting on stage, and my bass amp was working, and I remember them saying, "Play some Dead Kennedys," and I was like, "Which song?" And they'd call things out, and I'd play the bass line. It was really, I think I got a real thirst for playing live. It was a hoot. And then when we did finally kick off, it was just such great energy, packed gig. But then the next day, the singer was like, "I don't want to do bands." I think he got overwhelmed being on stage. He had sort of which was really, really sad. I was like, "Man, you're awesome." And then he was like, "Oh, not, I've plagiarized lyrics." I was like, "That's all right. We haven't recorded anything. Let's write lyrics." You know, and the lyrics were pretty sloppy anyway, so didn't really matter. But he didn't want to, and then, but yeah, like straight away, the drummer and I started another band with another guy I knew from school, who was a guitarist who I really liked, who was more into kind of, I guess, more metal than punk than I was, but it was a good mix. And yeah, next weekend we started playing, and it was that drummer from the Anorectic Elephants that suggested the band name Vicious Harry Mary, which is actually he was a horticulturist, and it's a plant that grows in far north Queensland in Australia, otherwise known as wait a while, because it's got these like grabbing kind of tentacles. Like, yeah, that's cool. We'll grab them. That's a fun name, and evocative of horror and all the things that I love as well. So yeah, there was another band.
So no recording survived of the said anorexic elephants. No.
I used to have tapes, like old cassettes, and my car got stolen so many times, and I don't know why, but tapes would always vanish from the car when they did. But yeah, unfortunately, I had some really fun tapes over the years, and they're all gone.
Yeah. That's the way of my CD collection. Every time I'd get a nice, good, like 200 CDs, it would get swiped again. You know. Yeah. I feel the plight. I feel the plight. Vicious Harry Mary, great band. You released two EPs in 1994. One of them was called Black Bugs.
Tongue twister.
Yeah. Black Bugs Blood, and the other one was Copy Camel. Right. Both were really great. Though the first one had an awesome cover of the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies. Please say you were inspired to play that from the video game Tetris.
No.
Oh, snap.
It goes back to Fantasia, though.
Full
circle. Yeah, I didn't know Tetris had it.
The NES version of it, you had three musical options, and one of them.
I'll tell the sound of.
Yeah, that was the Game Boy
classic
version.
Right, Game Boy.
That one, and
one.
The Sugar Plum Fairies was one of the options of the NES version.
Right. Was it 8-bit as well? Was it that kind of?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear that. That makes sense. But yeah, cool.
I guess you guys had the Famicom there, or did you have the NES? I'm not sure how that went down in Australia.
Man, I never had video games as a kid. Friends had them, and I'd occasionally play. It was lucky I didn't, because I probably never would have done music if I had a game console. I would have just done that. Definitely. I loved playing. But yeah, I'm not, unfortunately.
but not because of Tetris.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about those releases. Discard the Tetris thing.
I haven't thought about that in some time. Yeah, what would you like to know?
Well, what memories stick out the most about your first recording experience?
It was really exciting. I I don't know. I think we didn't have a great deal of time to do everything, and it was all pretty new and fast. Um, I I don't know what to say in that regard.
Yeah, I guess it's
I
been some
mean,
years. It's been
it has been a long time. Yeah,
29 years.
yeah, maybe even more because it would have been 93 when we got in the studio for Black Box Blood. I think. I mean, I was so obsessed with, yeah, making the band sound good and practicing, and yeah, we rehearsed a hell of a lot too. That drummer's amazing, Craig Norton, and he was never really into the the bands that James and I, the guitarists, were. He was really into kind of jazz and fusion and sort of, I mean, certain things that would jump out where we'd connect on certain things, but he had quite different tastes at the time, and so it was interesting. He really helped us, I think, expand our understandings of rhythm too.
Well, awesome. So you did those two releases, and then it wasn't until 1999 that you did a full release with the band, which was
Oh, yeah.
Orchestra Phantasma. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that release, because I play that one pretty regularly. I love that album.
Oh, wow. Thanks very much. Yeah, it was nice. It was really nice doing that one. A lot of years passed between those. There were a few lineup changes over the years and pretty different sounds amongst that. It's kind of a shame we never did one in between. We did some demos. I'm not sure where they are somewhere, but with another Australian drummer, Ben Walsh, who does some really interesting stuff. So that was a pretty cool trio that had its own sound again. But after that incarnation, I really kind of went into a real sort of study mode and took film scoring and that sort of path more seriously. So I really wanted to learn keyboard because I knew I'd need to do it. I played bass and guitar and saxophone, but not really keyboard, and that was the main instrument I needed to learn to do writing. And that strongly affected the way I composed and the approach for that album as well. So that was just fun, bringing it all to life and making it rich and full. It was a satisfying recording. I think it still holds up really nicely. Yeah.
Got you thinking about things you
It's
haven't
a
thought
blast
of.
from the past thinking about these things. No one asks me this, you know.
Oh, but we're
Been
all
a long
fascinated.
time.
We're all fascinated. How come no one asked
Oh,
you?
good.
Okay, so let's move on. Later that year, you released Monsieur Cabamere,
Oh, okay.
that live in the basement. How did that
Uh-huh.
project come about?
That was great. It was like through the accordionist in Vicious Harry Mary on the Orchestra Phantasma album, a friend of his was selling a double bass, and I always loved the sound of double bass, and And he was like, Mike, you should really get it. I reckon it'd be a really cool thing to own. But I don't know if I can play it, and I'm denied. And I ended up buying it. It was cheap and needed some work and whatnot. It was really tough to play. The action sucked. But like 2 weeks later, I saw a listing in the paper for Camembert saying this year Camembert, we play, klezmer, the weddings, parties, anything kind of thing, but a real sort of lean towards Eastern European music. I was like, well, that's cool. No one's doing that. And they needed a double bass player, and I kind of was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I play bass, but I'll give it a shot. And we had really fun. I immediately connected with all the music, and the musicians they're all so nice, really talented, and easy to get along with. For lots of laughs, and straight away, that was kind of my most steady job, ever, was just doing their gigs on the weekends. So I was kind of had my kind of a regular income for a change. Not that it was a lot of money, but it was, it was good for sanity. And so I was juggling that and my crazy band, which is Harry Mary, for quite a while there. Oh, that was fun. But yeah, and that opened the door working. It was both Julian, and Svetlana, Julian Kerwin on guitar, Svetlana Bunic on accordion. And then we went on to do Darth Vegas all together. It's like, because we'll always there's so many sort of fun things when doing a musical rehearsal where you have silly ideas, or there's something that you saw or heard and you play it, or you do a different version of it. But there's so many fun ideas. It was like, let's do a crazy band that incorporates it all. That was great.
So that's how Darth Vegas came about?
Yeah. That, along with, there were a few, and there was also Neil Duncan, incredible saxophone player who had moved to Australia from New Zealand, and he was playing with a band called the Jews Brothers with on the same bill as Camembert, and he had a Resonance t-shirt on, and in one of their tunes he was just like squealing the sax like a maniac, jumping on tables. It was great. And he's really tall. He got kind of like Frankenstein vibe about it. I was like, that dude's awesome. And so we got chatting, Resonance, and then became friends like immediately. And then it was around that time, hey, I'm starting a band. I think you'd be a great fit. And yeah, he was in, and yeah, it was a really, really nice group of people. It's it's kind of sad. We do shows pretty regularly, although not that regularly, really. But yeah, once I moved to the US, I kind of just didn't maintain doing things. And then, jumping right ahead, but I don't know if you know, but our saxophone player, Neil, ended up getting a terrible tumor in his arm, which was inoperable, and he had to get his arm amputated. And then after that, we managed to find a instrument maker, repairer, who modified the saxophone to be able to be played with one arm, which is amazing. And he does that for a lot of like stroke victims and people who've had disabilities. And but then unfortunately the cancer came back, and he's since passed away. So kind of like, let's do a Darth gig. Maybe we'll do something different. I definitely want to do something in honor of Neil, and I think, and it'll be fun to see everyone. But it's incredible how fast time's gone. COVID, you name it, and everyone's kind of done their own ways. I've tried to sort of get things going recording wise and do things remotely, but it's, yeah, herding cats would be easier.
I know some ladies that can do that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, cat ladies. There's a bunch around here. But yeah, you jumped ahead a little on me. Tell me
Yeah,
about that.
sorry.
Tell
Yeah,
me a bit about that first album, because I really love that. 2003 is when that first album came out.
thanks.
Yeah,
That was so fun. I mean, it was pretty silly doing it that way. We recorded and mixed that in 8 hours. Yeah, I know it's silly,
yeah.
and I still I still hear it was Alon and Julian mainly going, "Why are you not just taking the files? We mix it and take the time." But I just loved the idea that it's like get it out, do it, because I've been with projects where it's like it's all slow, and I just thought it'd be fun. So in that regard, it holds up, but it could certainly, it's pretty crazy the amount of talent the musicians had to be able to record at that speed and do it that well is amazing. Um, Such a fun band. But yeah, after that time, we recorded it a little bit slower and mixed and finessed and produced.
Yeah, and when you say that, you're referring to 2012's "Brainwashing for the Dirty Minds," which
Yeah,
which
like a
is the
decade later.
album that brought me to your wonderful
All
musical
right.
collection. Right off, I played that album into the ground. Quite frankly, I
Oh
think I
wow.
came. I think I came across it around 2016, and now it plays in the back of my mind whether I want it to or not.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah, especially
Good.
space sounds still going on back there.
Uh,
So tell
but
me a bit about that album, recording and releasing that one.
that was a much more considered approach. It was nice. By that time, I'd doing film music. I'd had co-built a studio and had a facility. We actually had a space where we could record a band, and so that was really sweet to be able to do that there, and then take times with overdubs. And I I'd always composed on Cubase, mainly using just to produce ideas. But at that time, I'd switched over to Pro Tools, so it was um, yeah. And then I originally we were going to get an outside engineer to mix it, but I ended up doing it myself and really enjoying the process. So we took time with overdubs and perfecting, and different musicians would come in during breaks while other things. Actually, the one of the other guests, I happened to be doing. Um, uh, I was like piano tutor for someone miming piano in a film. There was this actress, Laura Michelle Kelly, who played has done many Broadway plays, and she was in a feature film, and it had to look like she played piano quite advanced. And she's a super impressive singer of musicals and opera. And she was really stressed about it, and it was really hard. And it's like, look, anything that looks remotely right is going to look amazing on film, and they're not going to really show it. But so in some of these productions, they really go to great detail to make sure those things look good. But while she was in the studio, she was asking about what I do, and I mentioned this crazy band, and she sort of jokingly went, "Oh, anything you need my singing on?" And I was like, "Actually," and she heard Bat Galactica, and that recording happened. She heard it once. She was like, "I've got to go, but give me a shot." Pressed record, and it was like 2 takes, and she did that. And that's what we kept on the album. So much fun. But, yeah, very talented. So it's got Mary Poppins on it. That's also nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that song too. It turned out fucking great. She did a great job on it.
Yeah, great. I'm not sure how she's doing. It's been a long time. Yeah. Actually, another really fun part of that was recording. Neil did all those fun vintage sound effects toys, slide whistles, horns, and sheep noises, recorders. So he brought his bag of tricks in, and it was really fun doing those sessions where he just add some fun weirdness. Yeah, it's real hoot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, so let's move on to your film scores. How did you first get into that?
It was a slow road. I think some people do it quickly, do a film scoring course, get some assisting work, and then build up the credits, and that's it. But I did a ton of shorts and like whatever I could, soundtracks for circus as well. I did a lot of in Circus Oz, a couple of different circuses, and then theatre shows. But it was really getting my first. There's a stop motion animator called Nick Donkin, who's done some great work. He did The Junkie's Christmas, which was actually produced by Francis Ford Coppola. It's an amazing short narrated by William S. Burroughs. And he would get gigs doing these in Australia. They're pretty popular, these ads for Yogo, like a yogurt drink with these insane ads. They're really fun. And I got to do one of those, and he was like, he really is a genius when it comes to animation. I should send you a link to that one. It's nuts. But I got to do all kinds of genres, including, like, I think Phantomus was in the temp track. He was like, I want something like Phantomus. I was like, cool. And we got Pete Kostic play drums on that one too. He slayed it. And then it went to French musette and all kinds of things. It's really fun. There's a giant robot. But that ended up, because it had so many styles and was such a fun and clear spot, that led to getting other gigs pretty quickly. So it was good. But yeah, kind of did whatever I could. I think kind of the weirdest gig I did before that was educational music for Korean kids learning English with like audiobooks. So I'd get lyrics like, the ball is round, it bounces, where's the dog? There he is. You know, and I'd turn that into a song and have to like enunciate really clearly, and then they'd re-record it. But yeah, so I did it like tons of those and got paid peanuts for it. I think they've gone on to become worth millions of dollars, which is pretty frustrating. But yeah, that was fun. So yeah, all kinds of soundtrack gigs, but always with the hope of doing, you know, fun features and animation and the stuff that I really love. Slowly getting there. I like to, you know, it's been fun working. At the moment, I'm working with Alex Proyas, which is awesome. Just finished another one of his shorts, which is really cool, called Dark Sister. Yeah, and he's got some features in the work which are very exciting. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm really babbling.
What's your favorite piece you've worked on so far?
I like different things for different reasons. As a whole, hard to say. I think I loved doing Necrotronic, which was a sci-fi action film. Did you hear that score at all by any chance?
I did.
Yeah. It's got a bit of crossover into the kind of... It's a bit of Vicious Harry Mary, even in parts. But I love, like, classic orchestra. I'm a huge fan of, like, composers like John Morris, really rich, dramatic, and there's a bit of Elfman in there, and I don't know. It was the first time I got to record full orchestra, and record properly, and so that made it special for me, and I think it still holds up. Yeah, I'd probably say that one. The film was originally going to be a lot darker. The original script was so different, and so it's kind of, I wish it had been this way, way, way darker film ultimately. But it's still fun. But yeah, I got to do the music, which I'm happy about.
How badass was that shit? Fucking full of great information. Full of great information. And if you've yet to do so, go check out all of Michael Lira stuff. The Vicious Harry Mary is fucking phenomenal, and so is all the Darth Vegas stuff. And he's on it with the soundtracks. This guy's all over the place. Constantly doing something. Right, so try to keep up with that guy. You can check out his website. I'll put the link down below. And make sure to stay tuned for my next couple interviews. I don't know what the hell they're going to be, but they're going to be awesome. Later.